All right, let's get started. Well, selamat sore, first of all, to everyone in Indonesia. Can you all hear me well?
Yeah, selamat sore.
We're thrilled to be hosting this webinar today with our partners from Indosat. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. And I'd like to welcome Pa Arief, who is a director and the chief strategy and innovation officer at Indosat Ooredoo. Welcome, Pa Arief.
Yeah, thank you, Fadl. How are you?
Well, thank you. We're hosting this webinar today to hopefully offer you practical insights around some of the opportunities and skill gaps that now exist in Indonesia as a result of the recent pandemic. A bit of background on Nexford just to start with, for those of you who don't know. We are an American university based in Washington, D.C., offering courses, certificates, and degree programs, 100% online. If you can believe it, even today in the year 2020, when people are talking about things like space tourism, only about 10% of the world population actually has a bachelor degree. We're here to change that, and hopefully in partnership with Indosat, we'll be able to change that figure in Indonesia. Well, we believe that lack of education is really the root cause of most world challenges. So we launched Nexford with a vision to make high quality yet affordable education accessible to people all across the world. We believe education has become largely outdated. You know, the way universities operate today remains comparable to how they operated 50 or even 100 years ago. Whereas the business world today is vastly different. Almost every industry is witnessing widespread disruption. So you're probably thinking, what's different about Nexford? Let me summarize by just three key differences. Affordability is the first, meaning you can earn a high quality bachelor degree or an MBA for less than $3,000 at Nexford. Our tuition is payable on a monthly basis, and the faster you finish, the less you pay. The second key difference is going to be skills. So we don't focus on theory, rather our entire curriculum is designed based on the needs of employers, meaning that every course you take will help you build a specific skill that employers value. The third is flexibility, meaning that our curriculum is flexibly designed to allow you to continue working while you're learning. There are no fixed classroom hours. With that being said, because we care so much about skills, we've organized today's webinar with the aim to provide you with insights you'll be able to apply in your respective careers. So over the coming hour, we're going to be discussing specific skill gaps that currently exist in Indonesia and how the current pandemic has resulted in new skill gaps, as well as opportunities which you can leverage. So Pa Arief, I'll hand over to you from here.
Thank you, Pak Fadl. Selamat sore, teman-teman sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So actually, this afternoon is very good for us to have a discussion with the CEO of Nexford University. So I think this is a good opportunity for us because Indosat have a very strong relationship with Nexford University, so we can make a program together. Just for example, we are preparing for the discount for anything skill set that we want to upgrade through Nexford University, such as we start from the computer programming, data science, even the machine learning, artificial intelligence we can do together because we already have a relationship and agreement between Indosat and Nexford University. So I think this is very good for us. And so that's why we dedicated this program to all Indosat customers, because we know well the value of our customers, especially for the young millennial in Indonesia that very hungry with the new kind of the skill technology that they want to absorb as soon as possible. So that's why a lot of actually training center in the online that I think the millennial Indonesia already subscribed. However, Together with Indosat and Nexford, we offering quite special that Fadl already mentioned, some uniqueness from the Nexford University. So Indosat not just give some discount for the course, but also Indosat preparing for the quotas. So the 20 GB per month to do the online training. So I think this is very good for us together. So I over to you, Pak Fadil. Is there anything that we want to discuss a little bit? And also we are waiting for the Q&A actually. So I think the discussion will getting more invite all the participants.
Sure. Yeah, all participants are welcome to share your questions on the chat, on the Q&A. Meanwhile, let's get started with some of your insights, Pa Arief. So maybe let's start with examples of skills that you personally, as well as Indosat, see organizations will value more now as a result of the pandemic. What are some examples of such skills?
It's actually just for example, right now in Indosat, and I think all the world moving from the office to the home, just for the working and also get learning from school and university. So that's why this is another thing that I believe this program a lot of benefit for the citizen of Indonesia. Particularly for the Indosat's customer that very eager to get anything regarding the digital stuff, for example, the new skill set. I do believe not only for the technical skill set, but also for the soft skill as well, because you know right now in the pandemic situation, you know, we are never touched in physical way. However, the collaboration, just for example, the collaboration is also the soft skill that right now we are very demanding to get all our employee, even we are working together, some initiative, some project innovation, we are doing the in the very remote area. However, we are can doing together because we are have the skill set or the soft skill in the collaboration. I think this is another thing that we are also thinking together.
So collaboration is the first answer. Essentially, you're saying that as a result of people having to work from different locations now, employers are valuing these skills or collaboration skills more so than perhaps before. So in terms of remote working, a challenge everyone's facing all across the world, whether it's people who are studying online or working online, it's maintaining productivity. So some meetings used to happen, together in person. So in terms of remote working while maintaining productivity, what are some learnings from Indosat perspective that perhaps other businesses or startups in Indonesia could benefit from when attempting to maintain productivity while working remotely?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question because we are already 7 months actually doing with this working from home or even working from everywhere actually. And fortunately, right now we are already have a lot of lesson learned. Like you mentioned about the productivity, how we measure the performance, even we are never have a physical face-to-face, for example. However, we can measure and however we can also see the productivity, or even we are possible to see the performance of organization. So I think this is about first how we can shift our mindset, and second one, Of course, we have some policies that we also change because we are very different ways doing working. And the third one, even this is also very important, is about the tools. So we combine about the mindset, and the second is about the policies, and the third one is about the tools, because you know a lot of tools that we adopt come along with this
Yeah.
pandemic. So I think this is a part of how Indosat actually run and operate doing the business, and we can still maintaining the productivity and also the performance this company actually.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to talking about innovation, Paul Arief. So, you know,
Yes.
during the past 7 months, how did Indosat encourage innovation during the pandemic, or was it increasingly challenging as a result of people working remotely, or did you not face any such challenges?
Yes, actually, we have the regular yearly program for the innovation. However, no one can predict that we are facing right now the pandemic itself. But we change very quickly. This is a part of the learning agility from the Indosat side. So right now we are running in the three big major activity in innovation. First, about the in-house innovation. So we are still in fight. Even we are never, again, we are never physically face-to-face. However, we in fight. And we are still running with the 10 teams, 10 squad for the employee of Indosat that right now running their ideas. So this is what we call the Lightning Innovation Program in Indosat. So all employee right now already in the stages for product validation because they already finished the idea of validation with the tools, so we can share any kind that they are have a problem that they can share together, so we can solve quickly and they can moving forward to deliver their idea, become the prototype.
Yeah.
The second one is about the open innovation. So right now, we have actually yearly, there is a hackathon. So this year, we are running the virtual hackathon.
Okay.
So this is quite interesting, and we already kick off the 1st October actually. So just a couple of days, we already kick off the virtual hackathon. And right now we are waiting for idea across the nation of Indonesia, of the young millennial that we are believe in this pandemic, they are still have a lot of idea that will submit to the Indosat in the virtual hackathon. So we divide in 3 parts in the hackathon. We are in the topic of the SGD because the SGD is a global issue right now, and the second one is datathon. So it's mean about how we are doing and make the algorithm and about the data science, doing any kind of data. And the last one, but it's also very unique, is about the CHAC. We invite the girls and ladies to join a special program in this year. And the last one is about the innovation that we are doing the strategic partnership with the technology principle. So we invite all over the world for the technology principle, so that we can doing together a co-creation, again the collaboration that we can do together. Even we are not in the same place, however we are in very remote area. Just for example, we are also doing in Japan, and we are still possible doing the virtual workshop and anything that we want to moving forward. So this is Fadl. Actually, we are doing in the innovation right now in Indosat.
Should we take some questions from our attendees?
Correct. Yes, quite a lot.
Yeah, I see a number have raised their hands. Maybe let's start with the first one. So, Lanry, would you like to go ahead with your question? Landry?
Please, Landry.
All right.
Landry Manjunta. You're still in mute, Landry.
Okay, let's move on to someone else, maybe. Danny? Danny?
Hello, you're still in mute.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Danny.
Yes. Silakan, Mas Denny. Hello.
Okay.
Have a problem.
They can maybe chat instead. Let's move on to maybe Fabrian.
Silakan, Mas Febrian, masih mute, masih mute. Mas Fabrian, Mas Febrian, Riz.
Ya.
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 Silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Sebelumnya terima kasih sudah memberikan kita kesempatan untuk mengikuti webinar ini. Nggak banyak pertanyaan dari saya hanya ingin bertanya bagaimana untuk cara kita yang berbeda pendidikan ini mendapatkan pekerjaan atau mendapatkan sesuatu pengalaman pekerjaan yang beda dari pendidikan kita. Saya dari pendidikan, saya mau beralih ke pekerjaan lain. Bagaimana itu sarannya? Dan terima kasih.
Okay. Just get the quick point from this question, Fadil. It is about the reskilling. You know, everything everything is transformed. So the question is very, very good for us. Is it possible if personally from the Mas Fabian want to reskilling because before, for example, he has about another skill, but to move to another skill.
Yes.
So I think this is a very good question.
Sure.
You want to respond this question?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Yeah, indeed, it's a great question. And you're not alone. I think when you look at different industries, you find that depending on the country and the industry, up to 60 or 70% of employees are actually going to need to reskill over the coming decade as a result of huge technology transformation and jobs that used to exist that will no longer exist going forward. And more importantly, as a result of technology and skills that are going to be invented and required over the coming 10 years that don't exist today. So when you look at things like, you know, even something like AI or data science, you know, 10 or 15 years ago, there definitely wasn't high demand for, you know, AI engineers across the world. When you look at blockchain is another great example. You know, so definitely there has to be a way, because by default, the majority of needs employers are going to have when it comes to skills over the coming 10 years are going to be needs that they don't even know about yet. And that's going to be a huge shift in the way we learn. You know, I would add to that, you know, the concept of learning being in a certain period of one's life and then ending is a concept that we have to understand is no longer valid, in the sense that university education or education in general isn't unique to a particular stage in our lives where, you know, over a 3 or 4 or 5 year period, we learn something and that's it. We enter into the workforce and we continue working for 30 years. There's no way that will continue as a result of the very rapid change in skills. So, yeah, sorry, I'll speak a bit slower. You know, so I would say the most important skill that you need to master is actually learning how to learn. It's much more important than a particular technical or hard skill. Learning how to learn is definitely the most valuable skill we need to teach at universities, and obviously that has to start at schools prior to university. So the short answer to your question is definitely it's possible to reskill and to change, and I would add it's not just possible, but it's essential. There's no way people are going to succeed in their future careers without the ability to continuously learn throughout their lifetimes.
Great, thank you Fadil. Mas Febrian, jadi nggak usah khawatir. Sorry, I'll deliver in bahasa, Fadil.
Sure.
Semuanya sekarang menghadapi hal itu, gitu ya. Jadi nanti buat teman-teman yang bertanya dengan bahasa Indonesia juga nggak apa-apa. Jadi case-nya Mas Fadil ini bagus sekali. Di dunia sekarang semuanya bergerak, sehingga dulu yang kita kuasai mungkin sudah tidak relevan lagi, sehingga orang butuh untuk mencari skill baru, gitu ya. Jadi jangan merasa kok pengetahuan saya sudah nggak terpakai lagi, berarti saatnya kita harus mengadopsi belajar hal yang baru. Belajar yang baru adalah bagaimana kita belajar untuk belajar sesuatu yang baru, kan gitu ya. Jadi ini menurut saya pertanyaan yang sangat bagus dan hampir dialami di seluruh dunia karena perkembangan teknologi yang begitu cepat. Maka tadi disampaikan ada blockchain, ada artificial intelligence yang kemudian membuat orang harus belajar sesuatu yang baru dan melupakan yang sudah dikuasai sebelumnya. So let's start with another questions.
Yeah.
I think this another question is very good, and I think this is related with Nexford from the Q&A from Mas Wahyu Prasetya. Dear sirs, I'm very happy Indosat can support us to access Nexford University. If I can graduate from the MBA, is the status of online will be same as offline graduated?
Sure.
Please, your response.
We get this question all the time, as you can imagine. I'll be happy to answer. I think we have a unique opportunity here to answer from two different perspectives. I will answer from Nexford's perspective, and then perhaps you can answer from an employer perspective, if someone were applying to your department.
Yes.
So first of all, in the US, there is actually no difference between an online degree and an offline degree when it comes to licensing and quality standards. So when we applied to become a university in Washington, D.C., when we first launched, our application allowed us to determine or to choose if we want to open a campus or to start online completely, and both standards are exactly the same. So our degrees don't actually state online or offline. Having said that, we think that the skills one would gain from an online program are directly comparable in quality to an offline program. And the way one should evaluate universities is not based on modality. And if you look today at almost every university in the world, they're teaching online, right? Even the campus-based experiences have been forced to teach online. So the learning from that is, the place of instruction or the method of instruction is not what determines the quality of a university. You need to look at the skills that the university is teaching, the method that it's teaching, the support that it offers, and more importantly, you need to look at what it's actually teaching. Is it teaching things that are significantly outdated, that appear to be conceived of, a decade ago? Or is it teaching courses and skills that are in actual demand by employers? And today, data is available online. So you can very easily go online today and look at what are the top skills and highest demand by employers all across the world. You can talk to your own employers, and then you can compare that to what university like Nexford is teaching or other universities. So in conclusion, I wouldn't really say that teaching online or offline is what determines the quality. I would add to that, just the last point is that there's a lot of research actually published online that actually shows results from university graduates who study online versus graduates who study offline. And there tend to be a number of clear advantages to both. Those who value more social interaction and want the social experience will want to go to a campus. Those who graduate from online programs actually statistically tend to be more disciplined and better problem solvers, and therefore tend to develop better critical thinking skills. So that's my answer. Arief, I mean, I would love for you to answer from your perspective in your department. If someone applies to you, do you evaluate based on, they studied online or offline, or what criteria would you look at?
Yeah, actually right now, Indosat when hire for the new employee, just see their capability, the skill set. So actually the background education, sometimes we are not give a lot of pay attention, but this is a part of the portfolio, the CV portfolio of the candidate. So that's why actually when we do the interview, for example, we exploring their portfolio, for example, in the data science or even in the machine learning, for example, we can discuss a lot about the portfolio, because their portfolio, their project that already they already have done in the past, it is about that good learning that they already have experiencing before. So that's why we emphasize for the portfolio, not for this, what is the certificate, for example. Yes, the certificate is part of what we can see, the standard of their professionalism. But finally, we see when interview is using their experience and also their capability. So this is my point regarding. So don't worry. Whenever you get the skill set that give you moving forward to get the opportunity for working, I think this is very important for us.
Great.
I think still have a question, Fadl. This is a very good question as well. The question, because they are asking about wait a moment. Yeah. So okay. See.
We have a question on new skills and courses we need to learn.
Yes, yes.
Should we take that one?
Yes,
so,
please.
So maybe from your perspective, Arief, can you give us examples? So we talked about collaboration earlier. What are other examples of new skills that people need to learn as a result of the current pandemic? And then I'd be happy to follow up on which of those Nexford teaches.
Yes, actually, this is very interesting when we are talking the collaboration. When we start the initiative for innovation, this is not a matter of the technology background, but also we need, for example, the commerce skill set, and as well as for the business skill set, for example. So we cannot just rely on one skill, but rather than we combine everybody capabilities, so we can create and start with a very good initiative, because we can see from another angle when we are talking one problem. Just for example, we are right now doing for the new technology that we are right now adopting is about the Open RAN. So the Open RAN, of course, this is about the technology for the basically starting of this problem. However, we are doing together, and what is the perspective the Open RAN but in the commercial perspective, but in the business perspective, is very interesting answer, and we can enrich our solution because we get a lot of perspective how they can see in the same of problem. So finally, we find out the comprehensive solution, because one problem have a lot of angle and have a lot of idea that we can combine together. So right now we can moving forward in very good way, because we are very have a strong belief to execute this initiative, because we have a lot of team that doing together in this initiative. So this is the important for the collaboration actually, Pak Fadl.
Fantastic. I'd like to add to that. So some examples. So if we were to look at what data is telling us for 2020 in terms of soft skills, actually, creativity is the #1 soft skill in highest demand by employers around the world.
Yes.
If we wanted to take a quick look at, the top 10 most in-demand hard skills, so based on data, so this is data published by, LinkedIn, who we have a partnership with, and they analyze, millions of job vacancies across the world. So we can see here that obviously there's a very heavy technology focus when we look at things like cloud computing and blockchain. But then second comes analytical reasoning, AI, business analysis, marketing, and many, I would say 7 or 8 of these hard skills are thoroughly covered across the Nexford curriculum. And ultimately, there's a huge shortage in areas like analytical reasoning, for example, across employers, artificial intelligence as well, business analysis as well. So these are areas that we see there's a huge shortage from employers across the world are complaining that it's very difficult to hire graduates that have skills in these particular areas. Should we move on to next question? Maybe Arsyad?
Arsyad, ya, silakan. Silakan Mas Arsyad, masih di mute?
No? Arsyad?
Arsyad? Mas Arsyad, silakan. Masih ke mute? Di unmute dulu. Halo, silakan.
All right, let's move on to someone else, maybe Liberty.
Liberty. Yes, silakan, Mas.
Liberty?
Masih di mute? Liberty?
All right. Let's stick to the
Liberty.
the chatting questions then.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take our next question. So we have a question just about the Indosat rewards, and no problem, Sylvia. So you can just type your questions. Indeed, I think whoever doesn't have the unmute button, you can just type your questions and we'll answer them in person right now. So we have a question about the data, several questions about data from Indosat. So we're going to be sharing more details about that towards the end of the webinar, as well as by email, both in terms of the how to get free data from Indosat, as well as how to get the scholarships as well. So stay with us and we'll share more details about that in just about 15 or 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
All right. So we have another question, Arief, about technology skills. So, there's a lot of employers today are talking about the balance between management skills and technology skills.
Yes.
And we see this from an Nexford perspective that essentially this is where we think there's a even larger gap today, where employers are looking for folks who can speak two different languages. So the language of business and technology and management, but also understanding how you can use, technology to solve business problems and to create real business cases with clear ROI and so forth. So from your perspective, what would you tell someone trying to make a decision between following a technology path versus a business path versus an intersection of the two? What advice would you offer?
Yes, I think this is a very interesting question because I want to see in the two perspectives. The first perspective, we do believe in the future, if we are talking the organization, is quite different as well. What we are running right now, the organization, just for example, because about the agility right now, organization is demanding to be flattening. So there is no very high hierarchy, for example. So that's why, yes, of course, we are still need some management level, for example, in the senior level. But the way we are working in the organization is quite different with the condition right now. So this is one perspective that we do believe in the future. So that's why we are still have the structural hierarchy in organization. However, we are right now moving to the team structure. So we are just make a squad, make a tribe. So the demanding for the management level is quite small. For example, this is less minutes because so they can make very agile how they are working. So they can self-organize. However, if the idea is getting bigger and bigger, and there is a complexity, and that time, of course, we are need some leader, some management skill that we are also embed in this team, for example. And the second perspective, right now, sometimes we are still running in the traditional organization. So that's why, just for example, in the regional, because one regional is very wide coverage area. So that's why we have to manage in the proper way. So sometimes this is need also the capability how to manage the resource or etc. And of course, beside of this capability in the management capacity, we are talking about the digital skill set. So that's why we are fostering our employee, not only in the management side, in the leadership side. However, we are driving all our employees to open their opportunity with adoption for the upskilling, even for the reskilling. This is for the opportunity.
Yeah. We have another question about from Yusuf saying, the world of IT is very broad. So it goes from mobile developers to web developers to AI engineers. So what would you advise if someone wanted to narrow down their focus on specific technology sectors over the coming years to become more competitive in the job market? What are examples of the top skills that you think there's going to be the highest demand for?
Yes, right now, because we are not in the single capability in a certain area. So that's why we introduce with the T shape, like the T. So there is a T in the vertical lines. We are talking a very deep capabilities, very advanced skill set. However, because we have to do in the collaborative and the co-creation with others, so that's why we have a horizon line. So like the T character, so there is something that we also have no. Just for example, even I'm a back-end developer, but of course we have to know a certain level for the UI UX, for example. Because UI UX also have a connection with the back end or even for also the on front end. So
Yes.
that's why the T-shaped capability, the skill set, I think today is mandatory for everyone. So we can make easier to make the communication because we also understanding the skill the others, but we as personally, we have very deep and advanced skill. I think this is another thing that we have to prepare in everybody.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question from Irwan, who's asking, how to increase digital learning engagement and improve learning experience. So, from my perspective, and there's also a third part about that, how to control integrity in digital learning. So let me start with the integrity component and tell you that, my view is the integrity component is, at least my philosophy, is that the person who has the most to gain is also the person who has the most to lose, right? So when you enroll in an online university, there will be ways through which you can compromise on your own integrity, but ultimately the loser is going to be yourself, right? So our duty as a university is to put in place a number of measures, and we do, such as verifying people's IDs, such as doing some live videos. But ultimately, we don't view that it's really the university's job to ensure that you still don't have any way to bypass the systems in place. And we hope that people recognize ultimately, if you don't build the skills that you need, and you're just going to try to get a piece of paper that you can hang on your wall, you're not going to benefit the same way that others have really invested the time have benefit. So ultimately, integrity is a concern, but I wouldn't say is a priority compared to things like learning engagement and learning experience and achieving learning outcomes. So all of the courses at Nexford are designed to engage learners. So it's not like a recorded video. You're going to have some reading, you're going to have some simulation, some interactive components, some case studies. You're going to have a lot of interaction with faculty as well as other learners. You're going to have team projects that you're going to work on. So that's how we maintain a learning experience that's engaging and that's active. You're going to have advisors reaching out to you, scheduling calls with you, asking you, about your experience. You're going to have regular surveys. So that's how we maintain an experience that's engaging. And it's important to clarify, because I think there's this widespread impression that online learning means a lonely world where you log in and you watch a video and you're on your own. That's not real, online learning. Real online learning is a lot more engaging, a lot more active, and a lot more hands-on. So that's really what we do to increase engagement, and it reflects clearly on our learner surveys. I think if you speak to anyone within the Nexford community, you'll see that they're all highly engaged. And we're about to publish actually some of our most recent statistics. In the last survey, we showed 100% satisfaction from our learner base. So that speaks to itself. So moving on, again, we have another question, Arief, maybe you can help with, again, about employer response to companies, company response to graduates of online universities. So I know we answered that before, but we have another one. So maybe you can answer from an employer perspective. What's your response to graduates of online universities? And do you think that this is going to, become much more prevalent over the coming years? Over the coming 5 to 10 years, is a graduate of an online university going to be, the minority? Or is it going to become mainstream in the way physical campus-based universities are today?
Yes. In my perspective, in the future, everything is doing in online. So that's why we do believe in the future, all students will graduate by online actually. So this is a part why we are happy have the relationship with the Nexford University, because have the same vision in the future regarding how we learn something for the future. So this is the first point that I want to respond. The second point, what is as an employer, uh, back to the idea how we hire, because if we are talking about why we hire, because we cannot do by ourselves. So that's why we find out someone that have capability, they have the skill set that we are need right now. So no matter this is online, offline, but they can demonstrate their capacity and their capability and their skill. So I think this is the right time for the candidate to join with Indosat actually. So again, when we are hiring, we just find out another person in the world that have capability that we are find out right now. So
Yeah.
this is another thing that we want to do in the hiring.
So we have a unique question that I couldn't ignore from Johannes. So Johannes is a magician. You know? So I would presume that magicians typically perform offline. Now with the pandemic, Johannes is probably finding difficulty, performing offline.
Yeah.
What advice would you offer to Johannes as an example of digital transformation, right? So he used to run a business offline. Now he needs to move online. What can Johannes do to transform?
Correct. Yeah, we have some discussion actually a couple of months ago. And you know, right now the technology moving to the e-health, for example, the electronic health. So we do believe even there is some treatment that the doctor have to have the physical contact, for example. But we still believe that in the future, a lot of opportunity by technology that they can do remotely. Just for example, we have some discussion with the Korean company that they can, even the surgery, they can do in the remote surgery actually. Yeah. So I think this is another thing that we do believe something big will happen. And maybe this is unprecedented before. So that's why even in the medicine, even in the area that maybe right now we think it has to be in the offline. However, in the future, everything can bring to the online, everything can bring the virtual. So that's why this is another thing why even in the industry and the university right now doing together, make the collaboration to see another view in the future, Pak Fadl.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Johannes, I would say practically you have a live example today of what you can do. So, get on Zoom or choose any other platform and, schedule a live magic performance, post it all over social media. And if the performance is great, the product will drive user interest. Correct. If the performance isn't so interesting, less people are going to show up next time you do it. Just do some free performances online to start with, build some audience, build a brand, build some awareness of your show. And then you can start charging for online viewerships. The beauty with online is you can reach, millions of people from one place, and it's much more cost effective. You need some infrastructure, in terms of a camera and reliable internet from Indosat and so forth. But ultimately, if you're able to generate, an audience of 10,000 people, charging less than $1 a person, it's a fantastic experience from a customer perspective. They're getting a great show, and you're making more money than you'd be able to make offline. So I would say start free online and then move from there to paying. So we have about 10 minutes left. We have another question about learning process. So let's answer this question from Sanya. So she's saying, she's currently a college student and they're forced to study online because of COVID. And the question is, what do you think will happen in the future post-COVID. Will universities continue offering their programs online, or are they going to move more offline, or perhaps a hybrid of the two?
Yeah. I think this is also your part, Pak Fadil.
Sure.
Because I do believe to develop the Nexford University is very visionary in the future. So the question is, after the pandemic, we are still running the online, or finally we bring a huge building, a huge classes, and everyone's go to the offline actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think that universities will move online. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I think 10 years from now, we're going to be looking back at this question and sort of laughing about it, similar to the way we thought about e-commerce when 10 or 15 years ago, when people would buy things online, be like, oh, really, is everyone going to sell stuff online? Of course not. We're always going to go to the shop to buy what we want, or the bank. Remember when online banking started, people were shocked. They were like, of course, I'm not going to log into my bank online. I'm only going to go in person to the bank. And now most people don't go to the bank anymore. So there's no doubt in my mind, if you look at a market like Indonesia, so you have, less than 20% of Indonesians actually have a college degree, a full, say, 3 or 4 year, bachelor degree. If the number of students in Indonesia doubles, even increases by 30%, universities will have no capacity. There's no physical capacity to take these, students. So there's no doubt in my mind that the future of education is going to be online, but it's going to be a blend. You'll have blended options for those who want to take some education online, and the rest will be offline, and then others will take 100% online. But there will be no such thing. Even 5 years from now, I would say there will be no university in the world that offers 100% offline programs. Right. I highly, highly doubt that will exist. I think these universities will have to shut down.
Correct.
There's a great question we have from Ahmed Sulis, who's asking about getting jobs based on skills, saying, surely every company updates their job requirements, the skills, so skills are moving very fast, right? The rate of development is changing very fast, and therefore, how can people actually learn what they need, given that the needs of employers are actually changing? I'd like to just offer an expert's perspective on this, in the sense that, we update our curriculum on a continuous basis, and we use a technology-based approach to identify the needs of employers on an ongoing basis. Using technology, we analyze job vacancies online every day. So far, we've looked at over 30 or 40 million job vacancies, and based on that, we're able to identify the needs of employers and update our curriculum on a regular basis. The needs are continuously evolving, and they're going to continue evolving. But from your perspective as a learner, I think what you need to focus on is really, the how to learn how to learn. And once you get in the habit of dedicating time on an ongoing basis to learning, and also getting into that psychology that learning doesn't end, you will enable yourself to learn. It's not just through Nexford. There are many providers of lifelong learning, but you need to understand that learning in itself is lifelong. Once we understand that, I think that will open up the doors, and it'll open up our own minds to the possibilities and the avenues that exist to build our skills on an ongoing basis.
Yes, very good.
Arief, would you like to talk about some of these skills? So Arief went through the Nexford curriculum, and chose some subjects that he thought were of particular importance, given the current state of skills and what's in demand. So we have here 6 of these courses specifically. Would you like to talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Fadil. So this is another another thing that we are doing together, Nexford and Indosat already do. In this webinar, we offer 50% off for any kind of the course, very popular in the Nexford University. So I think this is, you are very lucky today to get the 50% off. Teman-teman sekalian, kita saat ini, teman-teman yang hadir, Nexford dan Indosat memberikan tawaran 50% off untuk menguasai beberapa skill yang saat ini sangat populer di sana. Just for example, there is a data science for decision making, kemudian ada juga yang teknologi dan operation management, dan robotic automation, artificial intelligence, cyber security, dan teman-teman yang suka startup bisa nanti di entrepreneurship dan innovation. Jadi ini hanya di webinar ini. Sekali lagi terima kasih atas kehadiran teman-teman, 501 partisipan yang hadir pagi sore ini gitu ya. Yang bersama-sama dengan kita diskusi tadi. Tidak semuanya bisa kita jawab, mohon maaf, tapi kita bisa korespondensi nanti terus, dan manfaatkan 50% off from the Nexford University most popular courses. Jadi manfaatkan waktu luang kita selama ini untuk upskilling or skilling, untuk mengambil short course yang menurut saya sangat bermanfaat untuk kita dan masa depan kita. This is my message, Pak Fadl, regarding this opportunity for our audience in the webinar.
Sure. Yeah, just to recap, so all attendees of this webinar are going to get the opportunity to enroll in any of these courses with 50% scholarship. You're also going to get the opportunity to enroll in any of our degree programs with a partial scholarship, in addition to free data from Indosat for the duration of the program. So if you're enrolled in a bachelor program, for example, and you spend 3 years in that program, you're going to get free data on a monthly basis until you complete the program. You're all going to get, more details by email, including a voucher code that you can use to enroll in the courses or in the degree programs at no cost to you. So I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank all of our attendees from all around Indonesia. Hopefully after the pandemic, we'll get to see you all in person. Indonesia is one of my favorite countries, I have to say, around the world. So thank you all again for attending. Pa Arief and the Indosat team, we value your partnership, and thank you for joining us today as well. Any closing comments from you, Pa Arief?
Yes, thank you, Pak Fadl, for your joining with us in this webinar. I think this is very useful and give the benefit a lot for the millennial in Indonesia. This is a very good opportunity to leverage to creating the personal value for everyone in Indonesia, because there is some courses even about the graduates that we can join in the Nexford University. Teman-teman sekalian, terima kasih atas kehadirannya, atas bergabungnya bersama-sama di program Indosat hari ini. Kita mengundang teman-teman untuk bisa bergabung di program yang bagus ini, yang akan menaikkan personal values kita dan mempersiapkan diri kita untuk siap menghadapi tantangan ke depan. So thanks for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.